the longer you practice sight reading, the faster you'll improve. To improve sight reading, just practice sight reading. You should only sight read a piece once. You're either good at sight reading or memorizing. Very few people can sight read difficult pieces. Have you ever wondered if any of these myths are true about sight reading? What if they're just myths? Well, today I'm going to talk about these myths and I'm going to reveal whether there's any truth behind them. Hi guys, I'm Manu from Piano Sight Reading, where I give sight reading tips to pianists, and today I'm talking about myths. Are any of them true? Let's find out.
The longer you practice sight reading, the faster you'll improve.
In other words, if you practice 1 hour of sight reading a day, you'll improve much faster than if you do 5 minutes a day of sight reading. While I can see a logic behind that, I don't think it's true that the longer you practice sight reading, the faster you'll improve. But what I believe is true is that the more often you practice sight reading, the faster you'll improve. So it's not so much how long you practice sight reading each day, but how often. I mean, of course, it's better to do 15 minutes a day of sight reading than 5 minutes a day. But I wouldn't go overboard and practice 2 hours of sight reading, because there's all these other things you want to be practicing, things like your scales, your pieces. All of these things need work. I talk more about this in this video, where I show that sight reading involves a lot more than just being able to sight read. It involves having a good technique, a good knowledge of music theory, and good oral skills, and of course, good reading skills. In other words, you have to practice other things besides sight reading to improve faster.
To improve sight reading, just practice sight reading.
Again, I don't think this is quite true. Of course, by practicing sight reading, you will improve, but like I just said previously, you need to practice other things besides sight reading.
You should only sight read a piece once.
Yes, in theory, that's what you should be doing. When you practice sight reading, you should sight read once and then move on. And we say that because it's only the first time through that you're really sight reading. Any time after that is essentially just reading, no longer sight reading. But what I believe is that as long as you're still actively reading the score and not committing the notes to memory, then in my opinion, you're still sight reading. When you're practicing sight reading, it's okay to go back and sight read once again, especially if you've got passages where you didn't sight read very well. Just go over those passages again. And I think it's okay too to sight read a piece you've sight read in the past. If anything, I think it's a good thing to do, because then you can compare how you've progressed over time.
You're either good at sight reading or you're good at memorizing.
While it is true that people tend to either be good sight readers or good memorizers, I think a lot of people can be both. But I think there is a myth about this, because it's true that if you can sight read well, then there's no real need to memorize. And likewise, if you can memorize well, there's no need to read music. So I think that's why we think like this. But there's a lot of people who can both sight read and memorize well. If you're a good sight reader, then don't forget to work on your memorizing. And if you're a good memorizer, then don't forget to also sight read.
Very few people can sight read difficult pieces.
Again, I don't think this is true. There's lots of people who can sight read difficult pieces. You don't have to be a concert pianist to be able to sight read very hard pieces. Although it does help to have reached a high level at the instrument. So it all comes down to what level you've reached. So the higher the level, the harder the pieces you'll be able to sight read. So what do you guys think? Did you believe any of these myths before watching this video? And have I convinced you that they're just myths and not truths? Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, then please like it and share it with your fellow musicians. And don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this. Happy sight reading!